So good evening, everybody. My name is Diptiman Tripathi. I work as the managing director for WEFA, and the initiative Attention to Nutrition under the platform of I Am the Best Mom. We are looking forward to bring good nutrition, good health for the well-being of the children. So attention to nutrition has been coined to increase the knowledge and focus towards the nutrition and our eating habits. So the need has further raised during this pandemic and should be treated as a new normal. So today our topic for discussion is nutrition, an important tool for management of hyperactive of the children. So on the fourth day of the celebration, National Nutrition Week, we have with us our distinguished guest speaker. It's a pleasure to have you, sir, with us, Dr. Sunil Godbole and ma'am, Dr. Ashwini Godbole. It's always a pride to say the good word about you. Dr. Sunil Godbole is a developmental pediatrician. Dr. Sunil has been with Chiranjeevi Child Diet and Development Center for the past 25 years. He's also the head at Small Step Morris Autism and Child Development Center, Dinanath Mangesकर Hospital, Research Center at Pune. He's also at the Training in Child Development at Germany. Dr. Sunil is also author to 3 chapters of Parenting from Home to Adolescent, author to 6 parent education books, and more than 200 plus articles in various newspapers. So we once again welcome you, sir. And along with you, Dr. Sunil Godbole, I would like to introduce you, Dr. Ashwini Godbole. As the proverb says, a family that eats together, stay together. So they both have further extended the proverb by working together for the development of children in the society. So Dr. Ashwini Godbole is a consultant in child development and diet with a PG diploma in child and adolescent psychology. Dr. Ashwini is the consultant with the child development and diet since 25 years at Chiranjeevi Child Diet and Development Center at Pune. She has also conducted parenting workshop and diet for normal children with special needs, as counseling for developmental disorder and planning of IEP. Dr. Ashwini is the author of 6 parent education books and research paper on topics such as ADHD, intelligence profile of chess player, obesity, etc. And I would invite our distinguished speaker, Dr. Sunil Godbole and Dr. Ashwini Godbole, to take up this session forward. And in between, we will have very interactive sessions with polls. So I would request all the attendees to participate thoroughly and let us learn and have a great learning today. Over to you, Dr. Sunil.
Thanks, Diptiman, sir.
Thanks. So I think I won't waste time of this precious evening. I hope that everybody is well fed. That's what I started with the message also. That if you have to talk about children's nutrition, we should think of our own nutrition first and then we'll go ahead. Now we're going to start with these 2 interesting words. What is nutrition and what is hyperactivity? So if this is our child, who is hyperactive child? The child who is always on the move. This child doesn't want to wait at a place. He's on the move. Somebody tells that they're always having a motor on their self. So they're just moving on. So that's one of the indication that the child is hyperactive. A typical hyperactive child is incessantly talking, but karta rehta hai, and he's just blurting out the answers when it is a school-going child, and sometimes making inappropriate remarks which are not relevant to the conditions. So it's a typical of a hyperactive child. This child is anxious. He always wants to do something. मैं आज जगह पे बैठ नहीं सकता. I want to do something. That is a typical anxiety that comes in picture. This child has, if you look at him carefully, कुछ तो कुछ करता रहता है. उसके हाथ में जो आएगा, अपने कॉलर के साथ खेलता रहेगा, बटन के साथ खेलता रहेगा. लड़की है तो अपने चुन्नी के साथ खेलते रहेगा. But ये they can't keep their fingers steady, so they're fidgety about that. Another thing is they're impulsive. कुछ मन में आता है, अचानक जगह से उठ जाते हैं and they start moving around. That is another typical classic find that the child is hyperactive. There are some children who are restless, and these children also कभी कहाँ पे टाइम मिलता है कहाँ से मैं उठ जाता हूँ अपनी जगह पे भी. They'll start moving here and there. That is a typical restless child. And lastly, they always have a tendency to losing things. स्कूल में जब ये बच्चे जाते हैं, they forget always. उनके erasers गुम हो जाते हैं. They lost their pencils. They whatever they are handling, they can lose all the same. That disorganized thing. Is it always abnormal? all hyperactivities are not abnormal. Especially the toddlers are known to be overactive or hyperactive. अगर toddler एक जगह पे बैठा, if a toddler is sitting at one place, that means there is something wrong with the child. We need to investigate as a medical. But a common toddler is overactive child. फिर हम इसको problematic कब बोलेंगे? जब when the parents are unable to manage the child. One, or the society is unable to accept their hyperactivity. Two, or three, in academics, their hyperactivity is creating problem for the learning. Then only we call them hyperactivity is a problematic, and then the next word comes, that is called as a attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Today we are going to focus more on a normal hyperactive kid rather than a attention deficit child.
So here I will interrupt. Many of the parents, they have a dilemma in mind. If a child is before 6 years, should it be, if symptoms like these are there, should it be called as a hyperactivity?
We take it in a different way. We tell that these may be the red flags. Keep a watch on them, note them, talk to your pediatrician, talk to the development pediatrician, start working on their diets, their development and their rearing, and you may be successful enough to manage the child in much better way if you pick them at an early stage. So picking them early intervention, catch them young is always a tagline in the development. Now for time we'll go ahead. I'm coming with a first poll question. So
Diptiman sir, here I am reading the question for all the participants.
Yeah.
You had a party, you had lots of cheese, breads, pulao, Chinese, pani puri, chips, cold drinks, everything. So what goes wrong in the brain and what is your reaction? So the options are I feel happy, I feel sleepy, I feel uneasy, I feel irritated. So we request all the participants to choose the option out of 4. And
select the best option. Only one option allowed. You may think that everything is happening with me, but select the best, the most common option for you.
And then we will go ahead with the next part of the session.
Okay, brilliant. So I think all of them are participating with the answer.
Yeah.
We'll take it another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So just to guide you, these are all the things about the brain. They're talking about the brain. Everything is happening with the brain. Yeah.
Monica ma'am, please put your option in the poll box provided.
So that it will be counted. Monica, Rati Jain madam, please put your options in your.
Diptiman sir, here you can help the participants.
They're all putting into the channel, the chat box.
Yes,
Please
yes.
put the thing in the poll.
Yes.
If you want, you can guide them how to use the poll.
No, the poll is already there, so they are all seeing it. I think more than 70 people
But
have
some of them,
already.
they are not aware about how to go ahead for the polling.
Okay, if it is ready, we can go ahead with your. I'm expecting good, interesting answers for this.
It is. Okay, so I think we can end the poll.
Yeah.
We have. So let us wait another 15 seconds and we can close
Yeah,
it.
sure.
So we always start with feeling happy. Now I want to see the poll record. So, what is the?
Sharing the result with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So-
sir, I feel happy is the option selected by 48%. I feel sleepy is by 6%. I feel uneasy is by 30%. And I feel irritated is by 17%. So let's
So-
know the connection.
But I like to add the other three because the I feel happy is a positive emotion taken by that party, but the other 52% are taking the negative part as well. And when we take that this party is loaded with all that thing, now I wanted to introspect everybody of you to go home and introspect your party once the party is over. During the party, we always feel happy, but post party, after 1 hour, after 2 hours, what happens to your tummy? And the real question is there a relation of the food with the brain? And the answer, all these emotions are telling yes, you are eating something, and who is responding? The brain is responding. So there is something called as a link between the brain and the gut. So there is a very interesting statement I read and I wanted to quote over here. Our brain is our garden and the roots are nurtured by the food we eat. So our gut is telling our brain to work on something or other. So now there is another terminology in the medical way we call the second brain of the body. And where is the second brain of the body? It is in our tummy. So remember, there is a second brain in our body and the brain is in our tummy and it is guiding our brain. So how it is happening? In a normal condition, when the healthy gut is healthy, everything is going smooth in the gut, the diet is adequate, the diet is qualitatively good, the gut is functioning healthy, it will send healthy messages in terms of chemicals, in terms of nutrients, in terms of hormones to the brain, and the brain will function the best. Till that point, everything which you eat will keep you happy. But once the gut gets overloaded or gut gets a wrong type of food, then it gets disturbed. And what goes disturbed in the gut? In the gut, there are microbiota. That means good bacteria as well as bad bacteria. They are called as a microbiota. The gut wall, the intestinal wall, which is shown in a tubular way in this particular picture, and then the blood-brain barrier, where ultimately the nutrients reach. So if this gets disturbed because of the food, our brain starts behaving abnormally. Here I wanted to work more on this microbiota just to tell you, when we say about yourself or ourselves, I will ask you, who are you? I will say, I am Sunil. The actual answer is, we are Sunil. Why? Because along with me, there are 2 kilos, I underline the word 2 kilos of bacteria which are enjoying the stay in our body. And if we are in a good term with those bacteria, then our gut is going to help us to maintain our brain as well as body. And if the bacteria get disturbed, we are going to have a problem. We are going to discuss this in detail over the next few minutes. So remember, our gut is controlling our brain, and that goes the concept of a nutrient as a tool for hyperactive child. Now this tool I am going to describe in 4 parts. We have to manage the diet in such a way that we remove food that damages the gut. We have now understood the importance of gut. We have to replace some food items with healing foods which are healthy and healing instead of irritating. We have to repair our gut with good supplements, and then we have to rebalance the microbiota, that the 2 kgs of bacteria in our gut, with the probiotic. So the 4 points for today on which we are going to discuss is remove, replace, repair and rebalance. And that is a very important thing, and I tell you, this is not important only for hyperactive child, it is for you and me as well. So that is why we like this topic to talk about, because this is important. Now second question comes to for a poll.
Diptiman, sir, again the poll. Here, when your child eats candies or jellies or chocolates or pastries or sweets, what is your observation? Like, do you feel he feels happy, he is excited, he is dull, he can't focus on his studies or activities? Select the option that best suits your child.
And here I will put a word in the question: lots of candies, lots of jellies, lots of chocolates, lots of pastries. So that lots of is to be added in the question, so to make it more precise to get the answers.
So let the polling start.
Let the polling start. Every answer is correct.
The polling is started, and
every answer is correct. That's what I will say. I appreciated Mr. Gajanan has recommended the answer. If I eat first time, it is happy thing. Everything which is first is always a happy thing. Then something goes wrong.
Right, sir. So we will end the poll in next 20 seconds.
We can take time. And during this time, I just wanted to let people think about what are the contents of these things. And what is common with from candies, jellies, chocolates, pastries and sweet? What is the common thing? That is one thing I wanted to start thinking. Those who have answered the question, let others may take their time, but those who have answered, I wanted to think of what is common. Somebody can put it on the chat. I would like to see the answers for that.
So we are ending the poll now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nicely. All are answering the thing. Let's wait for a while. And so
Yes.
here we can see a child feels happy is the option selected by 31% of the people. Then the 49% of people are saying that he is excited. 5% are saying he's dull. And 15% are saying he can't focus on his studies or activities. So let's try to know what is the relation between all these emotions, the activities of the child, and this part of the food which is in all these food ingredients.
And I'm very happy that some of you are answered very well. I did something on the chat box about the sugar part of it. So what is happening? Do you know that something is going, which is that he feeling happy and is excited? Both are the functions of the neurotransmitter, the good neurotransmitters in our brain. About, say, I'm going to discuss about them, dopamine and serotonin. So they are fired in the brain. So let's take that. So brain, when we eat something sugary, something goes in the brain which triggers this happiness and excitement. Ashwini, now the answer to this problem. Now for that, I want you to remember, now if this is happening, especially if we want to irritate the brain, we need to reduce this sugar. For hyperactive kids, is getting excited is the early trigger for the hyperactivity. So what is the goal of a nutrition as a tool? Reduce the sugar. Not only that, the jellies and all these things are taken care of. Lots of artificial colors and preserve. We have to remove those things. So the elimination concept is not elimination. I always like the word reduce. So now what I'm going to do? So the reduce. So what this sugar causes? The sugar causes a spike in the blood sugar. And because of that spike, the child becomes excited. That dopamine, adrenaline, lots of neurohormones are released in the brain, and the brain gets charged. And this charging causes the hyperactivity. But something goes wrong on the next part. The child is now excited, and suddenly, once he ends up with those sweets and chocolates, the blood sugar starts dropping very quickly, because these are simple sugars. We are going to discuss about this simple carbs in a minute. And the blood sugar starts dropping rapidly. And now what happens? The same excited babe becomes irritable. So the cycle goes that the child becomes excited at one time and irritable, cranky on the second time. Those parents who are managing such hyper kids, they'll understand now this behavior, how this behavior goes, and then what they require, they again ask for they crave for the sugary things, and then we are in trouble.
So here 15% of the parents, they have said that their child is not able to focus on the activities.
Yes.
The answer
So
lies
answer
here.
on that concentration part is that because after there is it goes
Trough.
down, there's a trough in the cycle, and that is where we need to be careful. So we need a food which will give the sugar not rapidly but slowly. We have to discuss that over the minute. Another thing that goes is nowadays the craze in all, especially the adolescents. But now the adolescent age is coming to the 9 years and 10 years, and these kids like all this Coke, Fanta, Thumbs Up, whatever name you say, they're there, and it is very well advertised on the media. And these things, they are very careful about the sugars, but they don't use the sugar. They use the artificial sweetener, the aspartame, and this aspartame is much more dangerous than sugar, because it not only disturbs the hypoglycemia, the sugar cycle, but it also disturbs the insulin secretion, and that creates problem when it comes to putting on the fats and managing the sugars. And obviously aspartame and all these artificial sweeteners are directly related to the hyperactivity in the children. So, but the children need a sweet, and children are known for a sweet tongue. So what we should be doing? They should be offered the natural sweeteners like stevia. The one thing is known in diabetes, the plant. Maple syrup is something which is available nowadays, but I will prefer the last one, the dates. So dates is one of the wonderful. Date is khajur, or what we call, and that to the soft one, which will give the high energy, a good quality sugar, and that is much better than the sugary sweets and candies.
So here even the parents can opt for other food sugary options, like
Yeah.
fruits can be better option
Option.
than this. Even
Yeah.
the jaggery can be used. So it is not mandatory that maple syrup will be used.
Yeah.
But they can have other options also.
And the interesting to remember it like a line. On one side there are the jellies and chocolates, and on the other there are the fruits, and the white sugar comes in between. On the right side, which is the good side, we need to think about jaggery, dates, dry fruits, fruits. So they are the better natural sweeteners than the artificial one. With that message, let's go ahead of something of elimination diet, and Ashwin is the best
Yes.
person to explain.
So when we think of elimination diet, commonly for hyperactive children as well as for normal children, as well as for the children with special needs, this Fengold diet is recommended. What does it tell? Dr. Fengold, he has quoted that artificial additives, they increase the hyperactivity, impulsivity, as well as compulsive actions and emotional issues in children. So what parents can do? Because always my effort is to really empower the parents. So I will tell you, simply follow these steps. No artificial colors and dyes like red 3, red 40, blue 1 in children's diet. So for that purpose, please read the labels which you usually get on the food packets. Secondly, there should be no artificial flavors like vanillin or MSGs. Here you can use all the things like our cardamom, cinnamon, no artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, and no preservatives like BHA, BH, TBHQ. There is a long biochemistry in it, but simply I will tell you, eliminate these things and then the hyperactivity will reduce. And I have seen it really working for many years whenever I tell the parents to reduce these or eliminate these from the diet. So let's go ahead, sir.
So the same colors, I look in a different perspective. When we say no to the artificial colors, we say yes to the natural colors. And surprisingly, our Indian diet, our Indian vegetable, just look at the carrots, they are orange. The beet, they are a very beautiful different color. The green leafy vegetables, another color. So if you start looking at the colors in the nature, you'll understand that the nature also has some beautiful colors. Why don't we use in the diet, and why don't we get trapped into the artificial colors? So with that message, let's avoid those colors, artificially colored food products, and go for the natural colors. Okay, with that, now let's go ahead with the next part.
Next part.
That is reduction in the milk and milk products. Now this is something which is bit to be taken in a positive and negative way. I don't say reduce, I don't say eliminate, I say that reduce. Especially the milk products which are heavy. With some reason or unreason, with doctors also to blame into it, we have introduced the cheese and paneer as the very good milk products. But there is a word of warning over here. These products, cheese, paneer and butter, are very difficult to digest. I want you to remember, and once they are difficult to digest, what is going to happen? Their gut is going to be overloaded with digestive products which are not properly digested, indigested. Then what happens? The gut becomes irritated. Once the gut becomes irritated, it irritates the brain. When brain gets irritated, what is going to happen? Hyperactivity, irritability, loss of concentration. So all these heavy food products, we are taught that the cheese gives lots of proteins. I don't disagree with that, but you have to limit it, and that to be in which condition? When the child is exercising a lot. What is happening? In this new world, the children are sitting in front of the TV and mobile and eating cheeseburgers and all that. And what is the end part of it?
The pandemic
They
of
become
obesity.
obesity. And I tell you, Corona pandemic will go, obesity pandemic will continue. So just mind your milk and milk products. Milk, especially our traditional concept of using buttermilk, is a good idea. Using ghee is a good idea over all other things.
So here and the cheese and paneer, they lack the fiber.
Yeah.
And as a result, it is they are laden with the fat. So usually they cause a lot of indigestion, gas trouble, bloating. So really parents, a word of caution from us.
Yes, so now that is one area we are working on. Now once we know that, now we have reduced sugars, we have reduced artificial colors and sweeteners, we have to reduce milk and milk products. Now that is one of the another way the milk, in some conditions the children have a sensitivity or hypersensitivity, or we call medically the intolerance. And if we find that a child is having intolerance, we have got such 2 cases in the last few months that we just reduced their milk and their ADHD level, the hyperactivity level, is vanished. So if the child is hyperactive, sensitivity or allergy to milk products, it's a wonderful way to reduce the milk, but replace it with the good products, good proteins and vitamins with the consultation of doctor or the diet person. So that is how we have to work on the milk products. Now we have taken the concept of reduce and replace. Now we are going to the second part, that is replace. Now we have to replace the problematic dietary items with the good dietary items, and that is called as a substitution diet. In substitution diet, we have got 2-3 things to remember. We'll discuss one by one. One of the part is we all like this simple carbs. I also like, but the sodas, cakes, cereals, they are sometimes good enough to if they're well fortified. White sugar, canned fruit juices. If you're given a choice, a canned fruit juice or a Tetra Pak fruit juice and a natural fruit juice, a mother's made or the child has helped himself with the fruits is a good idea over a canned fruit juice, because canned fruit juice may come with preservatives and artificial colors, and we need to be very careful about it. Then white bread, not the brown bread, the white bread, pasta, all they come with simple carb. What is simple carb? They give lots of sugars quickly, they are quickly absorbed, they give a high sugar peak, hyperactivity, and more craving. So on the and about the simple carbs, what is good enough? Paste is another thing we should be remembering, because nowadays anything to enjoy, you come with pastries and candies and Cadbury's. बच्चन तो सिखा ही रहा है कुछ मीठा हो जाए, and this कुछ मीठा हो जाए adds to the hyperactivity on one side, irritability, and obviously obesity. So what is the best choice? Think of complex carbs. Now these complex carbs comes with oats, whole wheat, sweet potato, banana, lentils, beer. So these are all there in our diet. We are just forgetting them. And why? Because the simple carbs, they are good for our tongue, while the complex carbs they are good for our tummy, and for tummy is for the brain as well. So you'll find out that start using complex, gradually replace your simple carbs with the complex carbs, and you will find a wonderful result when it comes to reducing the
Sir,
hyperactivity.
and here commonly the simple carbs are preferred because they are easily available food items. But from the complex carbs, you will have to take a little pain to prepare these food items. Okay, but this little pain will help you to reduce the hyperactivity of your child. So prefer these complex carbs. They will release the sugar very slowly. As a result, your child, what sir was saying, is a sustained supply of glucose for the brain. That will happen with the complex carbs.
That's a wonderful thing to explain. Instead of peaks, ups and downs, a sustained release is one thing which will take care of the brain energy as well, and the child will be strong in his all other. Now another poll question. I don't want everybody to sleep.
Yeah, Diptiman sir, yeah, Vaishali,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So out of the following options, name the good fat. So options are cheese, groundnut oil, fish oil, and vanaspati ghee. So all parents, please select the option.
Meanwhile, I just cover a question by one of the participant about honey. Honey is actually in between the simple carbs and the complex carb, but honey comes with a problem with allergies as well. And honey in extra quantity will cause GI irritation and sometimes loose motions. So honey has to be used cautiously in a small amount, and that too from a quality source, because unfortunately the market is flooded with artificially prepared honey, and we need to be very careful about. So pure honey in a small amount is taken as a very good idea, but in a small amount. I just want to underline that word, and that too we have to find out whether the child is not allergic to that. Okay, so that's one of the answer to one of the
Questions raised.
question raised.
Yeah, I would request the questions, even they can put up on the QA section given on the bottom. So
Yeah, till the time I'm just watching
Yes.
this time.
Sure.
Huh.
So the poll
It's a good idea that
question,
we'll answer all the questions at the end.
absolutely. So the poll
Millets
will,
are good for children, Sravanti ma'am. So you can definitely use millets for children. No issues.
That's a good idea. Millets is one of the good idea, and continue using that. I think we'll answer the questions at the last. If the poll is ready, we will.
yes. So
we are
I'm
interested to
closing
look
the
at
poll in next 10 seconds.
Statistics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. More than 90% people are participating on this. So we'll have some great result now.
Yeah.
So cheese, 8% of people are saying good fat. Groundnut oil, they are saying 41%. Fish oil, 44%. And vanaspati ghee, 8% of people are saying. So let's try to know what are the good fats and bad fats.
But if I ask the same poll question, of how you select your menu in a high-flung hotel, the answers will be the opposite direction. We'll select the cheese and ghee and all those products first, and then we'll end up with the fish oil because we are not aware of how to select the good oils, and that is what now we should be discussing about. That you're all aware that fish oil is good, but are we aware that we can reduce all the other oils and come to this conclusion? Let's discuss that. Now, with that point in mind, I
Now
want
let's go ahead with the good fats and bad fats. So here we have put few examples. Like in the good fats group, commonest when you search Google from outside India, it is avocado, then the salmon fish. But our own Indian food, that is walnuts, flax seeds, olive oil from the Western countries. This is the good fat. And when you think of the bad fat, fatty meat, cheese, ice cream, and fried food. Why we are saying this good fat and bad fat? Usually, bad fat are the things which are loaded with the cholesterol. They increase the deposition of cholesterol in the blood vessels, and for the children, they are not good for their brain development because of important sentence. Our actually our brain is more than 60%. It is fats, right? We all are fatty, as some are saying, but that means we need to know which fats. So the good fats are the one we will like to know, that are omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So let's go ahead with the next slide.
So I'll emphasize that point that when we call somebody fatty-headed, we are actually all fatty-headed because our brain is 60% made up of essential fatty acids, the good fats, and we need to replace it. So reducing fats is not, or zeroing down fats, which some of the modern mothers are doing. No, I'm not going to give a teaspoonful of fats to my child. Is a bad idea. Brain need fats, but brain need good fats. And what are those good fats? Now let's discuss those. So these essential fatty acids, they come with these omega-3 fatty acids, then there are EPAs and DHAs are the nomenclature. I don't want you to go into the depths of omega-3 fatty acid for the lack of time, but I want you to remember this EPA and DHA, they are the two components of omega-3 fatty acid in the chain of process. The EPA deficiency increases the brain irritation, that is neuroinflammation, and that causes hyperactivity. While DHA, that deficiency, it decreases the nerve membrane fluidity and signal transmission. Let's imagine the nerve like a wire, and that signal has to go very rapidly through the wire so that you get a faster turning over, and that is where the DHA deficiency causes problem, and that causes the inattention. So the two cardinal findings in the attention deficit hyperactive child are this hyperactive and inattention. So we are aware that omega-3 fatty acids can help to get corrected these things. But is it the 1 is equal to 1 answer? Sorry, it is not. It is one of the components of the whole gamut of nutrition in a child. So that is one thing we should be remembering. It is not a medicine, it is more of a tonic, it is more of a
Diet
nutrition.
supplement.
So I wanted to know, Ashwini, some of the natural ways to get omega-3 fatty acids.
So when we think of omega-3 fatty acids, some of the vegetarian, some of the non-vegetarian sources. So first go towards the non-vegetarian sources, in which there is a cod, there is a herring, you can say mackerel, then along with that salmon. But you can find out one important thing, all these salmon, sardine, tuna, mackerel, all are cold water fish. And in our India, these cold water fish are not easily available. Okay, so the substitute can be some of the nutritive supplements which are available in the market. Now going ahead with the vegetarian sources, they are the when you think of them, flaxseed is the one. Then along with that, spinach, the walnut, the sesame seeds, and the broccoli. These are the sources which you can include definitely in your children's diet, which is very easy and which you can really add in your child's diet. So there is no need to become always non-vegetarian. From vegetarian sources, you can select the omega-3 fatty acids, and they will help the brain function, the brain growth, because when the children are small, up to first 6-7 years, their brain is developing. So they need ample quantity of omega-3 fatty acids.
Here I wanted to mention a point that there is now the market is flooded with lots of omega-3 fatty acid supplements. I use the word flooded, and there is a discussion between the non-veg source and the algal as a vegetarian source, but I wanted to just weigh them. You have to look at the purity of it, the quantity which is given in the omega in that market product, most of the powders, I will say, I don't want to name any powder, they boast about omega-3 fatty acids, but the quantity is too little to cause the effect. So as a therapeutic nutrition, we need to have a very good dose of omega-3 fatty acid. So you have to select the market preparations in a bit careful way. And that is what I wanted to take everybody with a pinch of salt. And then replacing all those walnuts and flax seeds, that is a definitely good idea for a normal day-to-day living. So that is about omega fatty acids, and that has got a good role in hyperactivity. Another way to this high protein diet.
Similarly, protein diet, it is also important for children's brain growth. So food which is rich in protein, it provides the basis for neurotransmitter. For all the kids and for everybody, neurotransmitters are the one which make our everything, that is cognitive function, your executive function, your movements, your emotion, everything to work. And for that purpose, the amino acids are the best. So proteins, they provide them. So simply looking at them, protein, they can prevent the surges in blood sugar, which is very important for hyperactive kids. So which can be the sources? So let's look at the non-veg sources. The chicken is there, fish is there, egg is there, and egg is said to be first class protein. Now from them, let's go ahead with the vegetarian sources. So pulses, yogurt, cheese. Here remember, a small piece of cheese when a child is not absolutely having other proteins, in a small and moderate quantity will be useful, but don't load your child with excess of cheese. Along with that, some of the options like tofu, the nuts group, and the legumes, they all will help your kids to have adequate quantities of protein. And our Indian diet, usually it contains rice and dal. So dals are the main source of protein. So let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Do include the sprouts in your child's diet, because sprouts provide ample amount of protein. And if you all of you are aware, sprouts are the things which naturally grow. And if you want your child to grow, include sprouts in the child's diet.
Yeah. And one only precaution for everybody over here is, though we are saying of high protein diet, all children are, their guts, especially in the toddlers, they are not prepared to digest high amount of proteins. Because we again start flooding the guts with high proteins. I'm getting many mothers calling us at 6 months and 9 months to start with egg and all that. They may be right in the Google way, but be careful that tummies of the children are yet small and they're not mature. Don't load the tummies intensely. Start in a smaller amount. Look for the allergies and then load the tummies with the high protein diet. And along with the protein diet, let them work in the exercise. Now, very important part is we have to replace the toxins with food. Now, are we giving toxins to our babies? That's a common motherly question. And unfortunately, the answer is yes. These are all, I got this particular picture from internet, so there are most of the American or Western brands, but I tell Indian brands are not behind this. Here we are, the Make in India is also strong in this area. This is not food. Body recognize all these food items and treats it not like a food but treat it as a toxin. And what is happening? It is damaging the gut wall. It is irritating the gut. There is lot of indigestion coming with it, and obviously it is adding to the obesity because the toxins are not properly digested. So you have to replace the toxins. But what the media is doing? Media is replacing the food with the toxins. So now we have to go a reverse way. And probably Corona is teaching us to understand this reverse way. So what is the, yeah?
Here I will interrupt what you were saying in the initial slide, that gut-brain connection. So if this is not the food, this is a toxin, so our microbiota is disrupted.
Correct.
So our children are not going to behave normally if they are loaded with these things.
So the direct relation with these things is hyperactivity. So I like to understand this in a pinch of salt that, okay, look at those things, but don't buy those things. Avoid when you are going for a mall, avoid putting these as extra accessories in your basket. You'll be able to enjoy a better childhood for your child. What is a good food then? This is food. Body recognizes this is as food and uses the nutrients to repair the cells. So very important. That every day our body cells are getting damaged. So for that, these nutrients are repairing the cells and creating new healthy cells. It is also promoting the wellness. Important word to understand is calmness and the thin waistline. So you have to remember this concept. So what is a toxin and what is a food? Please take this slide from your mental photograph and remember while selecting the toxin. And surprisingly, we always label that the fruits are costly. Surprisingly, the fast food is equally costly. But our tongue decides our buying, and that is where the things go wrong. So replace toxins with the food. With this message, let's go ahead. There is a big boom of organic foods. Actually, organic foods are not different from anything else, but what they are not having is the pesticides, the artificial hormones, and other additives, which are linked to the hyperactivity. And there is a small study which tells that higher levels of pesticide and hyperactivity are closely associated. But every time only organic is possible? Probably not, because that is very costly. But going natural is a midway. So instead of buying burgers and chips and all that, prefer fruits and vegetables, and if they are grown organically. And a bit further challenge for those creative minds, the balcony grown foods are organic. Take it like that. So if you as a good parents want to develop your own garden and start developing your vegetables, you are having organic food in your hand. But yes, if you can afford to, and if you have to buy between a burger and organic food, even if it is small quantity, think of organic food over a burger and chips. So that is my request over here. So eat organic, that's the request. Another question which is coming for
So
you.
Vaishali ma'am, again poll. Out of the following options, which nutrient is required for concentration? So I request here all the participants to select the option out of iron, zinc, magnesium, and the last option is all of the above. So go ahead with the poll.
Yeah, the poll is on. This is a very interesting poll.
Yeah.
These three, iron, zinc, and magnesium, they are not only nutrients, they are also the market leaders when it comes to business and minings. So let's
Absolutely.
think it that way as well. So that will give the importance of these things. There are lots of interesting questions coming in the chat, but I'm keeping them for the end to answer.
Subsequent.
And I'm going to enjoy answering most of the questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm very happy how the participants are quite well
Enthused.
educated and into. I'm so happy with the people.
Absolutely.
who are
Even
coming.
I could see a lot of question coming on the Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm not seeing that at this moment. Great.
Well, I'll
We'll
read it
discuss
out
this.
for you. Yes.
Yeah.
So another 15 seconds, we will close this poll.
I think
And close.
great. So I think most of you answered it rightly, and even those 10% and 11% and 4%, I also appreciate because they are aware that these things are important for us. So all these things, iron, zinc, magnesium, there is a lot of story to that. Selenium. So all these things are called as a micronutrient. What is a micronutrient? Something which is taken in a small amount, but they still do the magic for us. So what is that magic? Ashwini, let's discuss over that, and that is the repair part of it.
Yeah.
So these micronutrients are going to be helpful in the repair. So let's start with the vitamins first. So for example, I'm going to quickly go through because this B12 we are discussing right from our school age. Am I right? All parents will agree with us, but when it comes to how to eat the B12 is a problem. So B1, the thiamine goes for the helping to convert the carbs to glucose and gradually and steadily. Very important, gradually and steadily. So that reduces that peak, reduces the hyperactivity.
B6 vitamin, it is important for various neurotransmitters. So deficiency causes tantrums in children, overactivity, poor concentration, and short-term memory losses are seen.
So P9 is another very important B complex group which is for serotonin synthesis, a neurotransmitter which is important for the impulse control, which is associated with hyperactive child, and that is where the bananas and oranges come in picture.
Now the B12. B12 you must be aware of several times. This B12 deficiency causes poor concentration and overactivity. So when you think of a child who is hyperactive, keep these B1, B6, B9, B12 vitamins in your mind and the natural sources, that is the fruits and vegetables. Those who are non-veg eaters, they can go for non-veg, but the sources are vegetarian fruits, vegetables.
Especially all these troops are to be taken regularly. We need to be talking, but
Yeah.
using them in a syrup form is sometimes dangerous because the sugar level is added along with the B12, and we need to be careful. So B vitamins are important for hyperactivity. Now about zinc, magnesium, and iron. I just want to quote a study over here. The study has reported that given some 12 weeks of studies of giving zinc, magnesium, as well as iron in a ferrous sulfate form. I don't want to discuss that intricacies of the study, but intricacies are telling that this hyperactivity is very well reduced when these things are added to this case. There is something called as the restless leg syndrome, atypical painful legs, movements in the legs. It's a medical disease altogether, but which is quite controlled with giving iron. The only problem with giving all this zinc, magnesium, and iron, it has to be done under the medical supervision. We have to use it as a medicine. As a natural resources, it's a wonderful idea. Our body takes care of the natural resources very naturally. So they'll accept what is required and they will throw away what is not required automatically. So giving jaggery and dates over a medicine of iron is, we as a nutrition people or pediatrician think, much better idea. Thinking of carrots and beet and radish and all those roots and tubers, always look at those as a very good source of macronutrients. So for the parents over here, my punchline over here to remember to use it, go for roots, fruits and sprouts. You don't need to think about the macronutrients. Roots, fruits and sprouts.
The
With that,
three rhyming
the three
words
rhyming
in the
words.
school,
Good.
we
Yeah.
can say.
Hmm?
Yeah. So let's go ahead with some of the sources of magnesium and zinc. And before going ahead to that sources, why magnesium is important? From initial stage, we are discussing about neurotransmitters. They are required for attention, concentration, as well as calming effect on brain. So magnesium is very important because it provides the children with the proper focus. So what are the common sources? To quote a few: pumpkin seeds, then the almonds, then the spinach, the peanuts, and the cashews. Also, there are we have put a picture here. We can see the watermelon and the other dry fruits. So you can include these food items regularly in children's diet so that they get adequate amount of magnesium. Now coming about zinc, zinc regulates the neurotransmitter. The neurotransmitter dopamine is very important. It is required for attention. So if you want your child to study well, do include the legumes, the lentils in the child's diet, the beans, the chickpeas especially, the seeds like flaxseed, the sesame and the pumpkin. So from this picture you can immediately get the things. So that's why we have put a picture to memorize it very easily and make your child really focus on the studies and the activities.
Is it going to work only for the kids? For the dear parents over here, if you want to live longer and if you don't look younger, magnesium and zinc has a very important role. So if you have to look younger, think of introducing roots, fruits, sprouts in your diet. Now about iron. Iron supplementation is very important because iron deficiency, there are lots of research articles in pediatric which say that as the iron deficiency has a direct correlation with cognition, understanding, IQ of the child, attention span, memory, sensory issues, emotional and behavioral problems. So iron deficiency, anemia and irritability goes together. So reduced iron levels are also related to this restless leg syndrome as well as hyperactivity. So can we correct in the natural way? Today we are going to discuss the drugs. We are going to discuss the natural sources.
So for parents, the simple sources of iron, the dates to quote the first, then the green leafy vegetables, the cereals, the pulses, ragi like all the cereals and the liver from the non-veg food. So when you include this regularly in your child's diet, the iron deficiency will not happen. And here please remember one important thing. Many of the parents are really fanatic after the child's diet to include milk, but milk lacks iron. Please remember. And so if there is excess milk, there will be iron deficiency, there will be less of appetite and a lot of problem for your child. Okay.
And interestingly, lemon adds the vitamin C, which is makes the food, these all food items easily digestible. So adding lemon to the diet and using all these things And obviously don't forget jaggery, which will take care of iron supplementation in a better form. Now another poll question.
So, do probiotics like buttermilk and yogurt reduce hyperactivity? The answers are always, sometimes, there is no relation, and then it increases the hyperactivity.
Now
So,
answer very carefully. This is a tricky question. Probiotics, we are given some examples which contains good bacteria. I am just giving you a hint. They are the good bacteria which are there in these two just examples.
yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
they're pretty involved with the discussion. So another
Okay.
15 seconds, we can close it. Just
Because we are a bit running on the time schedule. It's a
yes.
vast topic and we need to
Absolutely.
cover a lot of things. But we are still, don't worry, I'm not going to bother you much more here. Interesting. These two answers, always and sometimes, we just add them together and we know the answer. Yes, probiotics not always the answer.
So let me read the
sometimes-
percentage. They may not be able to see. So this is 79%.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 79%, there is a definite role of probiotics with hyperactivity, with brain functioning. So probiotics have a very good important role in our diet. But again, artificial resources of probiotics is not in our mind. We are looking at nutrition as a tool. Again and again, though we are doctors here, we don't want to post a medicine over here. We want to think of something simpler. So that is where the rebalancing the act. So the other 3 R's we are covered. Now the last R is the rebalance. We have to include these dietary additions, and another group to that is antioxidants, which are going to be useful for this. So now if you have to think of this probiotic, I'm going to bother you with the technical part of it. These probiotics, the good bacteria, they heal the leaky gut. What is a leaky gut? A damaged intestine. So look at our intestines as a pipe, and now the pipe has been punctured at various places, and the bad bacteria and toxins are entering outside. Those punctures are healed by the probiotics. In that way, they improve the digestion. Automatically, when the digestion improves, the common problem today we are seeing, the constipation, is relieved. Since the punctures are sealed, the gastrointestinal irritability is reduced. Not only that, because now all the punctures are healed, this gluten which comes from wheat, which is very difficult to digest, which injures the intestines, it is taken care by the probiotics. Casein, which is there seen in the milk, it is also something very difficult to digest by the gut. These probiotics, good bacteria, take care of them. And I now wanted to understand a bit technical or a biochemical part. These gluten and casein, if they are not adequately digested, they release a protein which has got an opioid. I forgot one of the I's over here. This opioid protein, this is like a addiction drug. Opioid, morphine, they're all addicting and they're creating problems with our brain and causing like an addiction effect on the brain. While probiotics, they prevent the bacterial and candida, or the bacteria, to name one is the Carnibacterium difficile. This bacteria as well as the candida, they got lots of flatulence, indigestion and constipation. So probiotics is correcting those bacteria as well as the candida overgrowth, and all this, what is happening? The brain is getting good food, less toxins, less opioid proteins, and that's why the aggression is reduced, anxiety is reduced, agitation is reduced. So these probiotics have got a direct correlation with hyperactivity on one side. It is also told that in all other developmental issues like autism, like other developmental problems, probiotics have got a definite role. And probiotics work not only on the brain, they work on rest of the body as well. So we need to work on the probiotics and we need to include them in adequate
So
amount.
here I would just like to add that leaky gut syndrome, when it is said, commonly this is observed in autistic children, as well as there is a one school of thought which is saying that there is a gap syndrome, that is gut associated psychology syndrome, which says that in these children they are having less of the good bacteria, and these children are having a lot of problem like with the interaction with social communication. So including probiotic diet in them is really useful. So to quote a few, here you can see the buttermilk, then the soy milk can be given, then the common food items like dhoklas, the fermented foods they can be given. Here a word of caution: avoid over fermentation. Okay. Then some of the pickles as well as the kadhi and the tofu, they can be the good source of probiotic.
So we Indians should appreciate that our Indian diet is flooded with probiotics. And what has happened? We are replacing with the bakery products and things of Italy's and Americas. And why don't we go back to our own Indian recipes? And you are aware that the probiotics are there in our diet. We need to just include them at the right amount. Along with the probiotic, they need something to act upon. And that act upon is a non-digestible food ingredient that has a beneficial effect on those by selectively stimulating the activity of bacteria, good bacteria in the colon. And they are the fructose and galacto-oligosaccharides or the inulin. And the classic examples are banana, onion, wheat, garlic, asparagus, soybean, legumes, cabbage, and apple. Again, this is all there in our food. So just include all of them in your food and you will find a very interesting result, and you will see that the child is behaving much better and you will find a good reduction in the hyperactivity. I wanted to highlight upon that garlic over here. Don't forget the garlic as one of the very important source of prebiotics. And these prebiotics, their addition also takes care of the constipation because they have got fiber, and this fiber will take care of the motion problem, and the gut healthy gut will be there. Gut leaky gut syndrome will be avoided, and we'll again go back to the good gut brain axis. Very interesting thing, especially those who are having a breastfeeding. Now breastfeeding comes with lots of good things, and unfortunately modernization is shifting the focus from breastfeeding to the formulas. But whatever correction you do on the formulas, it is proved that the mother's milk has got some natural live ingredients, which they have seen that those children who are breastfed for 3 months and who are breastfed for 6 months, and they understood just a 6 months of breastfeeding and the incidence of ADHD is reduced in this one of the very beautiful, a very big research study. So breastfeeding, so those who are at present breastfeeding their babies and those who are having their relatives who are breastfeeding, please push them for breastfeeding, because they are going to reduce the next hyperactivity and they are going to actually make the life of the mother simpler and enjoyable. So mention of breastfeeding and particular interest, that's the point. Now the antioxidant part. Antioxidants are the phytochemicals which are found in fruits and vegetables. And what is the good part of it? These antioxidants, they prevent injuries to the gut as well as to the brain, as well as to the heart, as well as to the muscles, as to the bones. So antioxidants play everywhere. Antioxidants are immunomakers. So immunity is also going to go stronger with this thing. And the answer is go in colors, fruits and vegetables. So add fruits and vegetables in your diet purposefully and replace the toxins with the food. I'm coming back to the same tagline over here. Replace the toxins, the much highly processed food by the less processed food. Same fruit taken directly, good idea. Converted into a juice, gone down in terms of quality. Used as a canned or a artificial pack, gone down. And converted into the gummies and fruit jellies, they've done the worst part of it. So remember, go natural, go organic, and that is a good idea. Now, just to recapitulate, summarize. Yeah.
So to remove something, that means the elimination diet. To replace something, here we are saying healthy food substitutes. When we are saying about repair, then supplement, and the last thing is rebalance with probiotics. So these are the simplest principles to reduce the hyperactivity of your child, and they are from your own kitchen. So just look really wisely into your kitchen, into the vegetables and fruits, and all the food which is available and the nutrients in your kitchen, and the answer is in your hands. So to just end up this whole session,
Eat less crap. That crap is a mnemonic. Crap stands for C for carbonated drinks, R for refined sugar, A for artificial sweeteners and colors, P for processed foods, and eat healthy food.
so here before adding, I will say if you want to say I am the best mom, say really in your mind and follow it. Eat the healthy food. What does this food means? F is for fruits and veggies. O is for organic lean protein, the protein sources we have seen. Omega-3 fatty acids is O, and D, drink lot of water. So all these things will make your kids really happy, healthy, and immunity very strong, and their hyperactivity will be also reduced.
I think we will end up here with, if time permits, to answer most of the questions which are raised by a very beautiful audience over here. We appreciate all of you, just because it's very difficult to maintain a presence on an online meeting. I personally get fatigued after a few minutes. I personally am probably as a hyperactive person. So, but all of the participants are over here and they enjoyed this. I'm very thankful to all of you. We'll start answering the questions one by one if possible with the time in this space. So,
Can we give the buttermilk in this season? So here I will say for the buttermilk, definitely include it. It provides probiotics, but include it in the with the hot food like dal chawal. Don't give it in the evening because otherwise it can give cough and cold.
honey, actually, I discussed with one of the participants' question, but the answer is around not more than a spoon or a two, but more than that is dangerous. About this semolina pasta and noodles, they're all good ideas. But remember, still, the basic thing what remains is a simple carb. So even though add some semolina to that, add some another fortification to that, what is the basic part? If we are finding now, they are also available. The noodles are also coming, the wheat noodles, and we need to be going for that. But always remember, what is important is remember our whole natural kitchen-based food. The mom's food has much better advantage to the food which is bought for a time being, for once in a while as an enjoyment. We all enjoy that. It is a good idea to enjoy. But the daily pack, if it becomes a daily habit, it's a dangerous habit. So please avoid the artificial and packed food for that. Paneer with colorful veggies is not a bad idea, but if you increase the paneer, the amount, we have to be a bit careful because paneer again difficult to digest. And for hyperactive kids, remember something which makes digestion difficult, hyperactivity increases. So something which is easy to digest, hyperactivity increases. Colorful of veggies, wonderful idea. Using paneer as a test maker, good idea. Using paneer as a full plate, goes down. Yeah.
So recommended quantity of honey. Here we are not quoting honey as a food substitute. So we are going ahead with that question. Okay. Is multivitamin gummies also toxic? So here we will say first we have shown you n number of choices which are from the fruits and vegetables for multivitamins. So weigh the things. If a child is eating fruits and vegetables, there is no need of supplements. But if your child is really having problems, anemias and all those things, then you need to supplement with the multivitamin.
There is a wonderful answer to this question also. In Ayurveda, it is said that what we eat, we become like that. Now you keep these things, a very simple test. Keep all these things on the table and you look at them. For example, if you keep the something which has added preservative, that means to keep it well, healthy, it requires some preservative to be added to it. That means it is not a good idea because that is going to damage our gut. Another example, keep ghee, a pot of ghee, a piece of cheese, a piece of paneer on the table. Come after 3 days. After 3 days, what you'll find? Ghee will remain as it is, while cheese and paneer will start disintegrating. So the answer is, what we eat, we become like that. Fruits. Fruits are nature's Tetra Pak. So when the orange is covered, you take an example of banana. It is covered, the cover becomes black, but if you open it up, the banana is still fresh. And that is nature's beauty. So don't forget that nature's beauty, and that is why the fruits are good. Roots, I'll again give the example. Carrots, they're growing in the soil. It's all flooded with lots of bacteria and microbes. But have you seen a carrot getting badly infected? Very rarely. So if our children eat roots, they are going to be strong. Their immunity is going to go well. Like what about sprouts? They are growing. Give it to the children. They are growing. Is a multivitamin gummy or a syrup going to grow? No company is going to grow. And there is a company person over here, but still I am saying be careful about that.
So here
Okay.
I will address one question. One of the parent has asked that Horlicks, is it
Yeah.
good to add in the milk for adolescent girl? And any alternative? First, keep the quantity of milk very less. Secondly, if you want to add something, then think really wisely, because the whole dabba of that, whatever the powders they are marketed in, they are in the market, they show the nutrients, they are available in the whole quantity of 1 kg and etc. So if you can supplement from the diet, it is always better. Secondly, if you want the options, then here are the common options like Veldoda Velchi, then is the Kesher available from our own India, the cinnamon, cardamom, the haldi, all these things, the sunt, that is the ginger, all these things, they are the good for the just as a flavoring agent, because all these Horlicks and everything, they are the flavoring agents. So look them wisely. You can use it as a change. If your child is bored, sometimes you can use, because nobody is Sant Jnaneshwar. So you will have to give the options to your child and be wise.
And one more point over is, in adolescent girl, be very careful about his calories, because in India, the adolescent girl becoming obese, it doesn't take up much time. Instead, for milk, I added some different additions. Kellogg's is good. Poha, the traditional Indian one, is good. Rasgira, the traditional Indian Rasgira laddus and those sweets, they're good ideas to add to that. Shingada, that's another way to add to it. These things make the same milk interesting. Add something to the milk and it becomes a more complete food item, but not the wheat. When you add wheat products to the milk, the gluten starts opening up and it becomes very difficult to digest. So we have to be careful on that thing. Can we start nutrition supplement diet?
Already we have answered that question.
Today the whole message to all of you is use nature and not the artificials. So that is the Yakult, a good option, one of the options. So I always like to say another catchline to all of the ladies over here. How should be the diet? It should be like a lady's dress. No lady will enjoy the same dress every day. So the diet should be like that. So every day, new color, new fashion and new dress. Similarly, a different colorful, different taste and different way of supporting. So giving Yakult or buttermilk daily is a bad idea. But giving Yakult on one idea, buttermilk on another day, giving idlis on another day, trying dokras on another day, complete source of probiotics. And the children will enjoy that. Just imagine the child has woken up from his beautiful sleep. He is enjoying the world around and the mother gives a 200 ml big glass of milk in front of it. गया पूरा दिन खराब हो जाता है. So start changing the diet every day. Yeah.
So there are a few questions from the other platform. So can we
cover these two? So this platform will be over and then we can shift to the other platform.
Sure, because there are a lot of common questions. So I was just collating that.
Okay, then please add. Yeah.
So can we take the slides out, or so that?
Yeah, surely. Why not?
So there are common question like, does the intake of sugary food, does it create urinary tract infection quite often?
There is no direct relation, but why it happens, that's a very interesting part. Because especially in a smaller kids, this sugary food, sugar itself is in the early stage, it's a urinating, it adds to the frequency. And when it adds to the frequency, and if along with that lots of liquid is not given, I underline these two things to be important, sugar and less of water. What will happen? The urine will become concentrated. And concentrated urine is asking for infection. One, and going for a frequency of going to the loo again and again, especially in small children when they are not aware of the sanitary practices, and they'll end up in infection. In adult and diabetes, sugar, and this is not the platform for that, and that direct relation with UTI is a different relation altogether. I'm not going to, let's not touch that topic right now.
Next question, sir.
Next is a lot of question related to the weight management of children. So they're gaining weight. And
Yeah.
So the simple thing is the food is the one thing, second is the exercise, and third is the healthy lifestyle. Okay, so if the children are sitting in front of television and munching, and they are not exercising, and their food is including the usually the cheese and paneer, which is heavy with the fat, and they are not burning the calories, then the result is they are going to be
And
obese.
the answer is the children are not becoming obese. We are making them obese.
Yeah.
So those nowadays I always blame the parents in some way on this. I am also a parent and I am blaming myself in the same way. What is happening? We are too soft parents. So when the child says, "Mummy, mummy, I want a chocolate," पिघल गया. When the mummy says no, Papa says yes. When the mummy Papa says no, the grandmother says yes. And this that sweet tongue, including all the chocolates and Cadbury's and sweets and all these things, as a just I want my child to be happy, and that adds to this thing. So that is where we need to be a bit firm. A firm parent is a good parent, but not a harsh parent. There is a difference between a soft parent, firm parent, and a harsh parent. So both the ends are bad. We need to be the firm parents. So okay, once in a while chocolate as a reward is a different story. But what has happened now? कुछ भी हो गया, चलो मीठा हो जाए. हाँ, कुछ यूनिट टेस्ट में 10 मार्क ज्यादा मिल गए, चलो पार्टी हो जाए. पार्टी कहाँ पे होती है? It goes to the McDonald's. And then we eat cheeseburgers and whatnot. फिर cheeseburger के साथ कुछ वो they are presenting in a beautiful way. इसके साथ थोड़े 2 रुपए सस्ते में कोक भी मिलता है. And I have told you how the things are working. And then you start putting on the weight. Unfortunately, one more thing that has happened in this modern lifestyle, madam has rightly said it, we are not moving our children properly. The children that really lacking exercise. So my request to the dear parents or all those participants is make them work at least an hour till 10 years, at least 2 hours till 20 years. So that exercise is very important to take care of obesity. I think most of the problems we have discussed, sometime or other will come with the obesity. We discuss obesity with the same interest when it comes to. But I think all these application or what discussing over here are going to applicate for the obesity as well.
absolutely, sir. I think all those questions, whatever is coming from the parents, it's in and around weight management, hyperactivity of the children, and concentration. So probably all leads to food, which
Yeah.
we have been discussing today. So
Yeah.
I think today it's not about limiting them with the children who are hyperactive. In general, I think we need to address their micronutrient, which you covered today very beautifully, and its importance through the right source of the vegetable, fruits, maybe from the seafood or from the water itself. I believe water plays a very important role.
Very important role, yes. So water is a big food. We forget that water is a big food. So I always tell, so the two first food items in the world is, the first one is oxygen, so breathe well, and the second one is water, drink well. So these things will make you really happy. Then Nikita madam's answer, yes, Shira halwa is a good breakfast idea. Again, go on changing. रोज हलवा हो गया तो बोर होने वाले, but this is one of the good idea. Chocolate, now why I'll ask all this beautiful gathering over here, why don't you try to replace chocolate with dry fruits? Just we need to push that thing. Why don't you try to replace chocolates and Cadbury's with chikkis and all groundnut made laddus and all that? It's a wonderful idea. We need that initiative. And
So,
that is what is really
Dr. Sunil, the importance of food. I think one of the parent is also asking the importance of water. That too, when we are drinking a lot of RO water, because of the obvious reason, because of the quality of the water is getting deteriorated, or maybe the smell in many cities.
yeah.
So, if we are getting the micronutrients or the nutrients, what about the minerals? Because that also.
There's a difficult answer to that. Actually, there is a definite now this RO. Yes, is RO going to reduce all these micronutrients from the water? The answer is unfortunately yes. But are we ready to take the challenge of, unfortunately, the microbes, the harmful microbes which are coming with that? Probably it is not. So if our water is not safe, what we should be doing? Okay, we need to accept the filtered water one, and then Because we are aware that the micronutrients are not covered by the water, think of all other food items to cover it. Because that safety and the natural resources, we have to take a toll on both the ends, especially and probably in cities like Pune, we get good quality of water from the sources, but it is not true when it comes to boring water and some other congested cities where we are not sure. The safety first, same like corona, safety first, and then add what is not missing from that part.
Yeah.
That's a balance.
So here is one question: try anjeer alternative for sure. Sugar. Really, it is a good option,
Doubt it.
and it will be helpful for constipation also.
Also.
So just go ahead. Then one more thing was, can we use skimmed milk powder? So here we are saying that first is keep the quantity of milk less. So when you think of milk powders for small infants, the issue is totally different. For more than 1 year, think of other options where you can get those nutrients from the milk. Okay, so don't depend on artificial things. Go for natural things and prefer that.
Again, when it comes to milk powder, it is processed. When it is processed, there are two things. One thing is we are not sure about the quality of it. You have lost the live part of it, and the more to that important is the dilution goes wrong. So the mothers who are, they want that children to look chubby and stout. So what they do? They dilute the milk powder in a less amount of water, so that in 2-3 spoonfuls the heavy amount goes in. But when the heavy amount goes in, is the tummy ready to digest it? It's not, and then you'll end up in indigestion and gases. A very simple formula to remember in nutrition: there has to be 5 parts to the nutrition. 1, milk and milk products. 1. I repeat this: 1. There are most of the toddlers, there are 4 parts of milk and 1 part of everything. That's wrong. 1, cereals. 3, the pulses and legumes and non-veg. 4, fruits and dry fruits. 5, vegetables and roots. So if the good mother takes care of all the 5 things together in the balanced way, you don't have to discuss nutrition. It's all covered. I can assure you on that point.
And to quote here, just complement this answer: 40% should be cereals, normally in the diet of children. 25% should be fruits and vegetables. Milk and milk products should be only 20%, and here milk product means buttermilk, curds, small quantity of milk. And pulses and dals should be 10%, and oils and sugars, they should be minimum, that is 5%. But remember, many of the parents, they confuse between the artificial sugars and the sugar. The child will need sugar in the milk, give it, but don't give a pastry or a candy. Okay, once in a blue moon is okay.
I respect Meghana's answer. Homemade curd is definitely better than the outside strain, but you need to work on that. Yeah, that's a very important thing. Boiled water, there is a problem with the boiled water that the children don't like the taste of it, and they drink less amount of water, and that is what not taken as a very good idea.
So regarding Diptiman sir, concentration, hyperactivity issues, we will deal separately, because today we are focusing only on nutrition, because there are
No,
lots
I'm saying the parents are pretty inquisitive
Yeah,
to
yeah.
understand, because
just a
that's
quick
what the pandemic
Just a
has
quick
brought
answer
probably.
to the concentration
Okay.
and hyperactivity. For concentration, a quick short answer, because I like to talk on concentration for an hour. But
Yeah.
here, if you have to improve the concentration of your child, there are few rules to be remembered. There is always a balance between concentration and distraction. A classic example: if a cable wala comes to you and offers you a cable channel option with 5 channels only, and other person comes with 200 channels. As a natural person, what we do? We select the 200 channels cable. But at one time, how many what we see? We select only 1 channel. And how we select? That selection is the remote, and that is concentration. So distraction, child comes with distraction. Child wants to see many things around, and then you have to settle with one thing. Now just imagine the mother wants to make the child sit for studies here, and the father is watching the cricket match in the drawing room. Is it possible? So it's not possible. So one of the part is environment. So cool, calm environment is very important. Diet. A well-fed child, well-fed is not excess-fed child. Excess feeding, sleepiness, concentration gaya comes. That is not going to work. And third part, to improve concentration, it should interest the child. If the particular thing which the child is reading, it is boring to the child, it is not, the child is unable to connect with the particular topic, he is not going to concentrate on it. But the same thing is presented in a better way. The better way comes with the three styles of learning: kinesthetic, visual, and auditory. And what we all like, reading style or writing style, which is the worst way of learning. If the same thing is, the child is shown beautifully, for example, for this rainy season, and probably not possible in this corona season, but a child has seen the clouds, the mountains, the rain, the river, the water cycle is ready. So the concentration becomes when it is presented in a better way. So again, the concentration needs a good environment, calm environment, good food. Third thing is interest in the subject, and fourth thing is small amounts in the same study to be given in a smaller amounts. The unfortunate story with we parent, we want the children to sit for hours together, and the interesting thing to remember here is child's age plus 5 minutes is his concentration time or the attention span. So a 5-year child, how much time the child is going to sit at one place? 10 minutes. So give the study of 10 minutes only. A child who is 10 years old, 4th standard kid, what is his concentration time? 15 minutes. And what we are expecting? 2 hours of study at a stage. ये होने वाला नहीं है. So divide the, it is called as the chunking. Divide the studies in a smaller amount, finish one and go on adding to that, and give a physical activity in between the two. Physical activity, I underline this sentence, physical activity increases concentration.
Yeah.
Very surprising finding, but physical activity improves concentration, physical activity improves the scores in the whatever exam you take, 10th standard, 12th standard, SAT, NAT, whatever you say, JEE or whatever. So just remember that the child should be physically active. Any quick
Right,
questions?
sir. I think we have covered most of the questions,
Yeah.
and thank you so much, Dr. Sunil and Dr. Ashwini Godbole. I think we all had a wonderful learning today in the evening. Now, though the platform is the Nutrition Week, which we are following across the nation, and I believe every family is now very, very carefully trying to pick up the right kind of food. So when it comes to food, it is very important for our children to be managed well, and simultaneously we have got series of subject which is very much relevant to the children on this week. And I take this opportunity to thank you, ma'am and sir. And
Thank
with
you.
this, I am also thanking the attendees with the eminent doctors who are, I could see, attending, and I'm thankful to them as well, and the parents who have involved completely. And once again, tomorrow we are having one more beautiful session which is coming up, and I would request the attendees to take out 1 hour time in the evening. We'll be having the complete series for this entire week. So tomorrow's session is with our eminent Dr. Anuj Rastogi and a famous nutritionist and diet consultant Rasmi Somani. They will be talking on the immunity part of like how we can enhance the immunity of the children with a QA session. So on the same platform, and subsequently we have the other panelists coming on the coming days. So with this, we can end the evening. Thank you so much, sir, and
Thank
we
you
will
all.
be looking
Thanks all.
forward. Thank you so much, the attendees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.